In this video, Willem and I are birding the entire country for mega rare birds, like the little Crake and the Bonelli seagull, and also loads of other rare birds. Hi, I'm the Dutch birder, and 2025 is my 17th year of birding. This year I'm on a quest to document at least 250 different bird species. Join me on my quest through wetlands and forest of the small European country called the Netherlands. Our adventure kicked off just after sunrise, out on the heaths of the Salland's Elburg, the only place left in the Netherlands where you can still spot black grouse. Yep, you heard that right. But there's a twist. The birds you see here aren't originally from around these parts. More on that in a bit. Now, this time of year, you're almost guaranteed to find a small group of people here every morning scanning the landscape. Some come nearly every day. Last year I only heard them and got a glimpse of one flying overhead. But today it didn't take long before we spotted a male perched high up in a distant birch tree. Then, bam, a bird flew right towards us. The silhouette totally had us thinking it was another black grouse. You could feel the tension rise, until it got close enough and turned out to be just a wood pigeon. A little further down the path, a birding Holland group got eyes on another grouse, closer this time, though still not ideal. But honestly, I couldn't care less. After countless attempts, I finally got decent footage of this stunning species. But here's the deal, these aren't native birds. The original Dutch black grouse population has vanished. Thanks to nitrogen fallout, the bare patches between the heath have been taken over by grasses and other nitrogen-loving plants. That's bad news for insects that live on the open ground, and even worse for black grouse chicks, which depend entirely on those insects. Only once they're older do they switch to eating things like birch pods. In fact, the last chick likely to have survived was back in 2008, a female last seen in 2015. Since 2012, Swedish birds have been brought in to try and keep the species going here, and it's only those imported birds we're seeing now. Still, I'm definitely counting them for my year list. With the black grouse checked off, we headed back to the car, about a 20-minute walk. Along the way, we heard a singing firecrest, but no luck spotting it. After we had successfully twitched the black grouse, we are now at our next location, because here, yesterday in the afternoon, a singing male European Saren was reported. And that is a species I really would like to film, because I've never filmed it before in the Netherlands. And it's also a slight detour to our next location of another breeding bird we want to film today. It has been reported yesterday in the afternoon, but not today. But we thought, since it's a slight detour, we could take our chance. We're going to search for 15 to 20 minutes. If it's here, we're lucky, and if not, we're going to our next location. The next stop, a lovely little park right on the edge of a residential area, where the day before someone had reported a European Saren. We heard and saw plenty of common birds, but no Saren in sight. As expected, we've dipped on the European Saren. At some moments we heard something that looked like the song or call of the European Saren, but we weren't sure, and then it was gone. So we've moved on to our next location, where we hopefully can film the Eurasian tree creeper, which is still a pretty scarce breeding bird in the Netherlands. Here we did bump into a cold tit, another new one for this year's video list. In this forest you'll find rows of beech trees, one of the most famous spots in the Netherlands for seeing the Eurasian tree creeper. While we were scanning the trees, we suddenly heard loud tapping. Couldn't figure out where it was coming from at first, until we realized we were standing right next to the tree. And inside, a black woodpecker carving out a nest hole. Every now and then it popped its head out just to toss out a beak full of wood chips. Absolute magic. In the beech lanes themselves, no tree creepers were to be found, but in between the plots we did hear a short-toed tree creeper singing. From past experience, I know Eurasian tree creepers love trees with rough bark, like Douglas firs, so we shifted our focus over there. And then, finally, we struck gold. We heard one singing. I caught a glimpse of a bird and started explaining it to Willem.
Er zit aan de achterkant van die boom, bij die twee holen bij elkaar. Die hebben hoogste twee holen.
What made it really interesting, this little guy started his song like a short-toed tree creeper, but ended it with the classic Eurasian tree creeper finish. Exactly the kind of hybrid tune that's actually been documented in the literature. Yes, we got the Eurasian tree creeper! We had to search for so long and finally we heard it singing, and luckily we could locate it because it kept singing. Ah, lovely. With target number 2 in the bag, we moved on, this time searching for a pendulum tit. A bird so elusive, the most popular Dutch nature site doesn't even list it publicly. A few weeks ago, someone discovered one, and because the location didn't seem quite suitable for nesting, the details were only shared in tight WhatsApp groups. I'd actually been there a few days earlier, but since Willem hadn't seen one this year, and it was a longer route, we gave it another go. The pendulum tit used to be much more common in the Netherlands. After a boom a few decades ago, the numbers have dropped significantly. Things have kind of stabilized in the past 5 years, and we're starting to see them again in spots where they've been gone for years. The catch? Now that they're rare again, they've become a magnet for birders and photographers. To reduce pressure, locations are kept secret, but ironically, that just piles more attention on the few known spots. It's a bit of a downward spiral. Reports said there were multiple birds here, but both times I only saw one, foraging among the narrow stands of cattails tucked between the reeds. The bird was picking through the fluffy seed heads, searching for tiny spiders and other critters. Sometimes it vanished deep into the reeds, but most of the time it gave us a decent show, and with the sun at my back, everything lit up gold. But honestly, when the sun slipped behind a cloud, the colors got even better. Softer, moodier, just stunning. Then suddenly someone shouted, "Another one! Another one!" Turns out it was a male bearded tit. Not the bird we were looking for, but still a new tick for the year list. And just like that, I got the best pendulum tit footage of the day. One more tit species to go. As we were heading out of the area, we spotted a little egret. These guys are still pretty uncommon this far inland, but I almost always find one at this site. So yep, another solid addition to the list. We've arrived at our next location, where this morning a little crake was seen and photographed, and that's a very rare species in the Netherlands, and you don't get much chances to film it. It hasn't been reported since, but it isn't that much of a detour anyway, so we're gonna try it. If we see it, it would be a great one to add to the challenge. And maybe we also see a Eurasian bittern, because that was also reported here. Along the way we also got a red kite, but since I couldn't film it because I was driving, I can't count it for the challenge, so I have to hope I get one later. On a walk to the bird hide, we already heard several reedbed specialists in full song, like a chattish warbler and a savage warbler. This hide is a gem. Big viewing windows at just the right height, which, let's be real, is not always the case. From inside, you're looking out over a small patch of reedland with a few winding ditches. We saw ducks, grey-leg geese and some more hens barreling about. But the real target, the little crake, nowhere to be seen. Out on the lake, just beyond the reeds, we spotted a few red-crested pochards, first of the year for me. We pulled up a photo from waarneming.nl and tried to figure out exactly where the little crake had been photographed. We thought we'd found the right spot, but no sign of the bird. So I figured, hey, let's shift focus. There were still plenty of birds to enjoy from the comfort of the hide. Willem just managed to pick up a very distant red kite and I managed to film it. It's identifiable by its silhouette, but I have to look at my laptop to see if the footage is decent enough to count it for the challenge, but it looks promising. So thanks, Willem.
Ja.
It's been 1.5 hours already and we haven't seen a trace of the little Crake. We have seen one other birder that came for the bird, but he has already left us, so there doesn't seem to be many interest for this bird. I also saw a jetty warbler a couple of times, but was too slow with the camera all the time. Now let's hope we at least get one of both species. Unfortunately, no luck that day, or the next. But then, 2 days later, the little Crake was seen again. And the day after that, right around the same time. So the next morning, there I was, back in the hide. Bright and early at 6:30 am. This time, 2 red-crested pochards were gliding through the front of the ditch. Then suddenly, a bit of a stir. Something moved in the reeds. Everyone tensed up. But it wasn't the little Crake. It was a bittern. And honestly, I was thrilled. These birds are masters of camouflage, and getting decent footage later in the year can be nearly impossible. The mist was thick, so the shots weren't perfect. But the atmosphere? Pure magic. Off in the distance, another bittern was booming, deep within the reeds. That classic hunting call echoing through the fog. And then it happened. Exactly at 6:50 am, the little Crake emerged, starting right out of the reeds and began foraging in the exact same spot it had been seen before, right in front of the hide. Perfect view. I was looking down at it slightly, and the lighting wasn't ideal. The ditch was still shaded, and the fog didn't help. But I swear, I had chills all over. There's just nothing like that moment, when a bird this rare, this elusive, suddenly appears in full view. A species that's usually hidden deep in the reeds, right there in front of our lens. Even though the core range of this species lies far to the east of the Netherlands, somehow every year 1 or 2 manage to turn up here. Most of the time they are discovered in May or June, when a male, or sometimes a female, starts calling from a swampy corner of a wetland. But in recent years there's been a new trend. Little Crakes showing up as early as the first week of April. The bright yellow-green bill with a red base gives it away immediately. And this one, a male. You could tell from the blue-grey underparts. Females are more of a dull brown. After getting my first shots, I decided to head down beneath the hide for a new angle. Down there, I ran into a few young birders. Ones I've been bumping into quite a lot this year actually. And just as we got in position, the bird showed itself one last time, before disappearing into the reeds for a long time. Moments later, a breathtaking group of great egrets flew overhead. A perfect closing scene for this unforgettable morning. Good morning! Willem and I are in the field again because yesterday evening a mega rare Bonelli's eagle was seen in the dunes near Egmond. It felt almost surreal. This Bonelli's eagle had chosen exactly the same roosting spot as one seen here 5 years ago. But based on this bird's age, we know it's a different individual. What are the odds? A nice group of birders had already gathered, full of hope and anticipation. I was just recording the intro for this segment when suddenly, commotion, people were pointing. Something was seen. The energy surged. But it turned out to be just a grey heron. Better too many false alarms than none at all, right? A bit further into the reserve, there was another group set up. If the eagle flew that way, they'd get a better view. But that also meant being less mobile if the bird popped up elsewhere. When it comes to raptors, one tactic always holds up. If a bird was seen late at the evening before, be there at dawn. That strategy has worked for me before with species like the Eastern Imperial Eagle, Bonelli's eagle, lesser spotted eagle and steppe eagle. We have positioned ourselves on the edge of the area, so when the Bonelli's eagle decides to fly away, we hopefully can intercept it and get some great shots. While we waited, we were treated to some stunning lapwings showing off their courtship display over the fields in front of us. Panic! The phone lights up like a Christmas tree, messages flying in. Eagle seen! Just now! We scanned the description, zeroed in on the location and swung all the gear in that direction. Willem managed to get the eagle in his scope, but I struggled with the distance and low contrast. I peeked through his scope. There it was. Then I tried with the camera. I spotted a tiny dot, way out there. I started filming just in case. But nope, just a buzzard. Sadly, the Bonelli's eagle left the area way too fast and too far from us to decently film it. So sadly didn't get any footage of this Bonelli's eagle. Like my first one in 2020 during the corona pandemic, then I saw my first one. So now I've seen 2 Bonelli's eagles in the Netherlands but haven't filmed any of them. Hopefully we will get one soon. Plan B, off to Castricum, south of Egmond, hoping to intercept the eagle there. No luck, but we made the most of it. Spotted the beautiful stonechat, a singing dunnock, and heard our first nightingale of the year, though it stayed stubbornly hidden deep in a bush. Heading back north, we made a detour near Herogewaard for the long-staying ringneck duck. Earlier, we dipped it a few times and had to deal with thick fog earlier this year, but this time we finally got great views. I found a low angle, filmed the duck beautifully and even grabbed some footage of a grey crested grebe nearby. Still not done, we stopped at Den Oever before hitting the Afsluitdijk to check the shallow wetlands for a reported pied wagtail. No pied wagtail, but we did find this gorgeous little ringed plover, a welcome surprise. Hi guys, I'm currently on my way to a secret location where an eagle owl is supposedly nesting. So let's see if we can find it. The rain was relentless, absolutely pouring, but I had my umbrella, so I pressed on. I mainly wanted to scout this spot for a return visit later in the season. Then suddenly, roadblock, a massive beast blocking the trail. Honestly, probably the most exciting thing I saw that evening, because unfortunately, the eagle owl was no longer on the nest. Yesterday a little bunting was found in the Zuidlaardermeer area, which is a very good species to get on a year list. It has also been reported today, so Willem and I are already searching. Hopefully we can find it. The bird had been seen along a row of trees near a harbour, right next to a camper site. We were told it should be right above our heads, but no matter how we looked, we couldn't find it. And then, bingo! Willem found it, hidden deep in a leafy canopy. We finally got our eyes on it, a little bunting. Our first ever in April, and also the first we've seen foraging in the treetops instead of on the ground. But just as quickly as it appeared, it vanished again, so the search continued. A harrier flying high overhead had our hopes up for a pellet harrier, but turned out to be a regular hen harrier. Still great, but not the one we were after. As we circled around the area, another gem popped up, a new species for this year's film list.
Time to check it out.
There were also some grey tits and a chiff-chaff, new on camera this year. Always fun to pick up the commoners too. In a small bush ahead of us, I suddenly witnessed a brief but unmistakable half-inch mating. Far too quick to catch on camera, but what a sight. Down by the water's edge, something caught my eye. A brown rat, probably busy feeding its young, which would explain why it was out in broad daylight. After more than an hour of searching, the little bunting showed up again. It quickly darted to the other side of the road, and once again I couldn't get in the frame. Bird location tips, man, often more confusing than helpful.
Ja, maar ja, zo is mijn camera niet bij me, vriend.
Eerst moet je hem zien. Zie je van deze boom, de dikste tak omhoog.
Ja.
Dan gaat er...
But finally, success! The bird perched up, preening for several minutes, and this time I got the shot. For the final species in this video, Willem and I headed to Schiermonnikoog, this time with my kids in tow. Saturday is Dad Day, but the Easter weekend left no other opportunity, so we made it a family mission. Armed with a stroller for my son and a wagon for my daughter, we set off. It was a bit of a workout managing the little ones, but with enough snacks, drinks and distractions, we made it. And what a reward! We managed to film one of my biggest wishlist birds of the moment, the European Salland. This species loves rough corners in extensive farmland, a type of habitat that's rapidly disappearing in the Netherlands, and with it, so did Salland as a breeding bird here. These days we mostly see them from autumn to spring, a few over winter, but they're often impossible to find or just nowhere near where we are heading. In spring, especially early April, a few still pass through. Sometimes, if you're lucky, one sticks around. Here, one was first picked up singing, but now it seems there are two birds, and the one we're seeing now looks like a female, with less yellow on the head and the chest. The male had been seen and photographed earlier, singing from a different spot. Interestingly, the two birds didn't seem to stick together. Yet. But maybe, just maybe, they're a pair. Wouldn't it be amazing? A nesting pair of European Sarands in the Netherlands again? After that, the kids had their well-earned playtime in the local playground. Thanks for joining us on this wild ride of rare birds. Don't forget to like, subscribe and drop a comment below. I'd love to hear what your best bird of spring migration has been so far.